Welcome, stranger. Welcome to The Lucky Die, a 5e Dungeons & Dragons actual play podcast. To truly begin our tale, we will start before the beginning. Each person is a series of stories, and just because their story started before our tale, doesn't make them any less relevant. We will learn more about Balance, Zaltanna, and Rhal'Jakk as we tell our main tale, but for today, let's just pick a day in their pasts and tell that story. Welcome to the first backstories of The Lucky Die. Our first story is about an elf named Balance, voiced by Arch. Within the Alliance of Dusk, the elf seat of power is upon an island in Blighthouse Lake. On the shores of the lake, we meet Balance, a young elf, second in line to the throne, and learning the skills necessary to become the High Inquisitor within the Queen's Council. This particular morning, we find Balance and his best friend Inverna upon a small dock, awaiting their mentor and friend Talvern. Talvern is to let Balance lead an investigation for the first time. Will Balance solve the crime? Will he learn the difference between enforcing the letter of the law and doing what's right? I guess we're about to find out. Welcome to Balance's story. So, essentially, we are currently on the shore. So, Blighthouse is a lake, and there is an island in the middle. We are on the shore of the lake, not on the island, just on the shore. We find ourselves on a small dock. This dock belongs to Balance's father, which is Zelfa. And on this dock, there is a really rather wonderfully looking, elegant, definitely an elegant elf. She has long brown hair, big hazel eyes, and the charge of magic is always about her. And this is an Inverna, who is slightly older than the male elf standing behind her, who is Balance. Would you like to describe Balance for us, please?
Sure. So Balance is fairly tall for a high elf, standing at 6'2". He is skinny but well-toned, pale skin and about shoulder-length silver hair at this point in his life. He's got a bit of a gaunt, sunken face, but not so much right now. He just looks very, very, very thin. On his forehead, there is a faded black tattoo of thorn-covered vines. And currently, he is wearing some very snazzy-looking princeling-esque leather armor.
Wonderful. That's quite a nice image. I like that. Just because we got into the idea of what they're wearing, she's wearing a form-fitting blue shirt and 3/4 length blue trousers. She's also carrying a side bag that is always filled with scrolls. For as long as you have known her, she's always had a side bag filled with scrolls and books. She's very interested in the learning. And you guys are, at this moment, standing on the dock waiting for Talvern. Until fairly recently, Inverna has been studying how to become a High Inquisitor and studying magic along with yourself and Talvern. However, fairly recently, she and Talvern have struck up a bit of a relationship, so they've decided that she's no longer going to train with him, and she is about to go onto Blighthouse Island, where the council is, and learn a different type of magic.
So what time is it? What time of day is it right now?
It's pretty early in the morning. The sun has probably been up for like maybe 2 or 3 hours at the most. As you're looking out across the particularly still very deep lake, and you can see the island off in the distance. The island you can still see is being lit by the elven globes, which are floating around with a slight glow about them, and it's much like being covered in fairy lights all over it. The lights from those are still bright enough to be seen, but the sun is definitely coming up overhead, and there's a series of little ferries like beginning their daily routine backwards and forwards, back from the island back to the shore, and there is like 1 or 2 heading towards your way.
Okay. While Balance and Ninverna are waiting there, Balance is gonna walk up next to Ninverna and just casually looking in the water, he's gonna try to subtly cast his minor illusion and make it look like there's a fish in the water that's like a big 5-foot-long fish. And he turns to Ninverna. Look, Ninverna, there's a fish in the water.
Oh, really?
Yes, it's a big one. Look how big it is.
And then Verna will go down and look at the water. She has a feeling. And then I want you to take a perception check for me.
Sure. That's a 5. First roll. 5.
You see, you look over and she seems very interested, and then she's like, oh my gosh, come have a look at this. And you feel a slight push in the bottom of your back as this kind of mage hand appears and just gives you a good shove. So you're teetering just on the edge of the dock.
Uh-oh. What am I rolling not to fall in?
Dexterity, please. Dexterity saving throw.
Uh-oh. 16.
You just about managed to like stoop backwards, and she just laughs at you.
That's not very funny.
What? I just thought you'd wanted to see the fish better is all.
Well, not that up close. I can't be looking all wet and everything for my first investigation.
Oh, that's the daisy, isn't it? Are you nervous?
Not sure nervous is the word I'd be using, but something along that lines, yes.
Well, I'm really nervous. What with having to go off and learn. Well, I've never really done offensive magic before, but I guess I'm going to go learn.
Well, can you?
Well, I did just push you in the back with Mage Hand.
That's not a very offensive spell, let's be honest.
I know, but I'm trying. What, with the Queen deciding that we should all learn offensive magic, I guess, I better get used to it, but it's not really my cup of tea.
Between you and me, she can keep her offensive magic. I'll stick with making my pretty little objects and whatnot.
That's going to probably get you into trouble one day, right?
Into trouble or out?
Oh no, I definitely think in trouble. I mean, and to be fair, if you do get into trouble, I can always, with my offensive magic, just like, set them on fire or something. So maybe in and out of trouble, I don't know. And
now that is something I would very much like to see. You setting somebody on fire, please.
Shut up. And just as she gives you like a hearty shove in the ribs, the other ferry just sort of like begins to dock in at the end, and you can see your friend, your mentor, Talvern. Talvern is a wood elf. He's the captain within the Inquisitors. He has shoulder-length dark hair, long black and red Inquisitor coat, and dark armor with darkened metal links for sure. And he arrives up on a small boat, and then he expertly moors himself on after throwing the rope out to Ninverna, who quickly ties up for him, and he steps on board. He steps onto the dock.
You're late.
He just gives you a very disapproving look. I think you'll find, Your Highness, I have arrived exactly on time.
Not by my measuring of the sun, you're not.
Then you need to stop casting illusions upon yourself, young man. And he just gives you a bit of a knowing smile.
I wasn't casting the illusions on myself. I was casting it in the water. Here, have a look-see. And he gestures at the fish in the water.
As you gesture at the fish in the water, you become apparent that Tolvin is just not paying any attention to this at all. He's just looking at Inverna, and they share that really awkward glance between them as he sort of puts his hand out to her and helps her into the boat. Well, I guess I'll be seeing you later. And he says, Yes, and he's looking down in everywhere but at her and at you. He's like, yes, of course, dinner, yeah? And she's like, okay, well, I'll see you later, Your Highness.
Yes, of course. If you need me, I'll be over here chucking into the water, thank you.
Well, just remember, be careful when going to the edge of water.
Oh, yes, of course. I have to watch out for any wild mage hens that might appear. Dangerous things, those.
As like the boat begins to push off, she's like, well, you have to be careful because there could be a flaming mage hand soon.
Now, that is something I'd be very interested in seeing. If you ever learn to do that, you tell me, all right?
Well, have fun today. Bye. And the boat sort of like drifts out to the point where you can no longer quite shout out to one another. And she's drifting off towards the rather beautiful looking island. And Talvin's sort of like watching her go without really saying anything at all.
I give him a nudge in the ribs with my elbow and just be like, so are we going to get going or what?
Yes, of course, Your Highness. I thought today that I've just come back from Belegbood itself, where I've had an interesting report of a theft, and I thought that we could go check this out. It's on the edge of the town, so it would be a bit of a walk.
I'm no stranger to walking.
Of course. Yes, we shall make our way immediately then. And it's probably a good 5-10, it's probably a good, like, let's say a solid 8 miles out of town. Let's split the difference. It's about 8 miles just outside the town. So you go past your father's estates, you go past the small village that's set up around it, and then go past the slightly larger town. And it's probably pretty much on the edge of that. It's probably about 8 miles all told from the docks out to where you're going. And you become aware that this part of the town that you're walking into is filled with lots of broken down houses. There are lots of buildings that aren't quite up to scratch. I mean, this is definitely something your father would allow like your dogs to live in or some such. This is not a well-off part of town. And you come to, and Talvin points you in the direction of what looks like a stall. No, let's say a shop. It looks more like a shop, not exactly a store. So it's a shop. It has doors. It has windows. And you can see this particularly old-looking shopkeeper, and he's currently like attaching something onto the front of the building. And opposite, you can see that there is a half-elf that seems to be running in and out and around the buildings. He's probably probably in his equivalent of early teens for elves. And Talvan takes you to one side, and he says, so far as I know, this potion seller, his name is Senlan. He had a break-in last night, and we are to ascertain who it is that stole the item. We are to dispense justice, or however you see fit.
Right, well, what do we know so far? What was in the report?
I would like you to find out all these details. Because it's not just up for the information that we are given. For example, I could be given a rap sheet with a lot of particular information on it, but unless I check myself, being a High Inquisitor, not just, your bog standard, being that you are supposed to be the High Inquisitor one day, according to your father, you need to double check everything. So I'm not going to give you any more information than that potion seller is named Senlan. And I wish you to find out exactly what happened. Are you up for the task? Or is this a little too early?
No, I think I'm quite all right, thank you. Watch how it's done. And I throw him like just a cocky wink, very jokingly.
He does that like pursed lip smile thing where he's trying not to outwardly just smile at you because you are officially on duty and he can't be as friendly as he normally is. But he puts his hands behind his back and just has a bit of a nod, and then out the corner of his mouth you hear him say, I'll give you 10 gold. How about that as a wager?
You're on. And Balance starts making a beeline towards the shop owner.
Okay. Talvan is essentially just going to go stand on the corner and watch in and listen to you. So unless you ask for his assistant, he's not going to help you. And of course, there's 10 gold on this. And
he's definitely not going to help me then.
Yeah.
No worries.
Exactly. He wants to give you help, but unless you ask for it, you won't get it.
Sure. So Balance approaches the shop owner and just as he's approaching says, "Excuse me, sir."
Yes?
Am I to understand you are Senlin, yes?
I am indeed Selin. Just give me a moment. And
Of course.
you can see that he's tacking up this really large handwritten sign. It's clearly just like a piece of parchment, which he's just now hammering the last nail into outside of his shop. And he puts the hammer down and begins to rub his hands together like he's just performed some great works. And he's sort of like hunched over a little bit. His long greyish hair, his long darkish hair, like occasionally when he moves his head, you can see he's got like either acid burns and potion marks all over his hands and his face.
Elf as well?
Yeah, he's definitely an elf.
Okay.
Just a crotchety old one.
Gotcha.
Right, yes, so what exactly is it you're after again?
I'm the Inquisitor sent here to ascertain who it is that has stolen your goods.
Oh, right, yes, excellent. Please, come on in. And he
Of course, lead the way.
He opens up the shop door and he leads you in and he closes the door behind you. And
do I catch what's on the sign that he put up?
yes, the sign says no credits, no payment options. Don't ask.
Okay, I'm not going to ask.
Okay. Well, there's that plot point thrown out the window. Good job.
They said not to ask.
That's fine.
I respect people's privacy, mostly.
You're a High Inquisitor. We'll get into that later. Yes, so we had a bit of a break-in last night, actually. The window was broken and some of my more expensive potions have been taken.
If you don't mind my asking, which potions in particular? I find that depending on what type it is, there may be a tell in that in itself.
Oh, yes. It was just a simple cure disease potion. Well, actually, it was a specific cure disease potion, but still, it's just, a generic, easy to make sort of thing. Really rather cheap, but really rather annoying. It's been stolen, actually.
Sorry, I'm going to need details if I'm to help you. What specifics are there that you can tell me about this potion?
Oh, this potion is a cure disease of Lighter's disease, one of the more common ones found upon the island.
What is for me, Arch? What is that disease?
Take a history check for me.
Okay.
I think history, unless you have knowledge.
Uh,
I don't remember the character sheet without looking at them. I sound like such.
I just did a history. I got a 14.
Yeah, it would probably be common enough for yourself to know. Okay, so Lighter's disease is something. The little light orbs that light up Belig Boot, the ones that you saw earlier, the ones that are kind of used all over the place. There is a natural compound that is enchanted and put within these globes. It's the actual natural compound that can make the person enchanting it after they've been exposed to it for a lot of time, because they have to see the natural part first and then enchant it. They tend to get this sickness which makes them basically become catatonic to a degree, and they occasionally emit like a giant glow within basically all along their blood. So they just end up glowing from the inside. It makes them exceptionally sick, very shaky, barely able to walk, barely able to see, that kind of thing.
I see. What time of night was this break-in, if you don't mind my asking?
Oh, it was, no, I don't mind you asking. You're just doing your job after all. But, no, it was at least after I left the shop.
And what time was that?
Oh, I left, well, I was working hard, of course. I mean, pulling hours after. Look, I left at 4:30, to be perfectly honest with you. I wanted to go have a bit of a drink.
Of course, I can understand the desire for that. Do you mind if I take a look around for a few moments?
Yes, of course. It's not a problem.
Please, stay where I can reach you. I may have further questions.
Yes, that's totally understandable.
Wonderful, thank you. And Balance is first going to go over to the shattered window.
As you go to the shattered window, you're aware that the shopkeeper is literally hovering probably an elbow behind you. Just like looking over your shoulder, looking at all the things that you're doing. What are you looking at?
I'm just investigating the break-in point is all. Just doing my job. If you wouldn't mind, sir, just take 2 steps back if you could, please.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I didn't wish to interrupt you. I'm awfully sorry.
No, it's quite all right. I just want to make sure that if there's anything that I need to do here, that you don't befall any harm or anything, of course. You never know. Thieves could be dwelling around, waiting to take what remains of your stock, of course. I of course, will protect you, but understand that I must be able to do my job.
No, yes, of course, but between you and me, if you're looking for thieves all around here, there's definitely at least one thief that I know of. You see, that's must have seen him when he came, that skulky little half-elf. He's constantly spying on the shop. I think he might actually be following me. I would put money on this.
Are you referring to the one that was here just moments ago?
The half-elf skulking outside, yes.
And you believe he may be a suspect in this?
I do. He has been watching the shop for many weeks now, and he never seems to move from just outside. Every time I look out, he scatters back into the darkness again.
I see. Is it just you that works here?
Oh, yes, I wouldn't even trust anyone else with these potions or these ingredients. Potions are exceptionally valuable and really rather difficult to make. There is a certain artistry one must have.
Yeah, of course, I can understand that. With that, Balance turns back to the window, and he wants to check to see how it was broken. Like, if there's any, points where it looks like maybe the window was smashed with a blunt object. If maybe there's a rock laying around where someone threw it at the window.
Take an investigation check for me.
Great, I am good at those.
You are good at those.
Never mind, that's an 8.
Woo! You are aware that this window has been broken, and your best guess is that the window was broken from the outside in.
All right, well, that at least it wasn't an inside job.
Yep, nobody broke their way out of the shop.
This is not an insurance scam.
Yep, you're pretty sure it's not an insurance scam.
So Balance turns back to the old man. Would you mind telling me, where is it that this potion was stored when it was stolen?
Oh, it's just here actually, and he waves you across, and it goes to like a display cabinet behind where he would normally accept payment back and forth, and he opens it up and slides the glass, and it just points at what is clearly an obvious hole in his stock. Like everything else is surrounded with like a thick layer of dust, except this one thing where there's a clear circle.
That is quite interesting. Why would somebody steal just the one potion when there are so many more here?
Yes, exactly. I don't quite understand it myself.
Now, you say that this potion was specifically for curing lightus.
Yes.
Are there any light makers within this area of the town?
Oh, I've cured it once or twice in the last maybe 30-odd years, Pretty rare occurrence, but no, not so far as I know. Last lighter I heard of is in this area. She had moved away onto the main island itself. Her father still lives here, so far as I know.
Interesting. Well, that gives me a few leads I could perhaps follow. What was the name of the half-elf that you had spoken of?
Oh, I don't know his name. He just seems to keep lurking around.
Gotcha. Perhaps I will have to have a talk with this half-elf. If he's watching you, then perhaps he watched Two Broken. If it wasn't him, of course.
Well, that's where I would bet my money, young sir.
Well, you can keep your money for now, and I will continue to investigate. If I have any more questions, I shall return. In the meantime, I must continue elsewhere, see if I can locate your missing potion.
Ah, that would be wonderful, thank you.
Of course, I live to serve, and I walk out the door.
Cool. Talvan is just leaning back against one of these buildings with his arms crossed, with a bit of a bemused look on his face.
Balance walks over to Talvan, and then Sosum. All right, so I've learned a couple things. So the potion that was stolen specifically was to cure the lightus disease. The shop owner swears that it must be this half-elf that's been scrounging around outside here. The only thing that I could think of besides this half-elf is that perhaps somebody who crafts the lights within this area may have fallen ill and just is unable to afford the potion.
Are you asking for my approval to follow your lead? Because that will cost you.
I'm merely bouncing my ideas off of you is all. Those are my thoughts. Are you going to follow me, or are you going to stand there smirking the whole time?
he does just crack a smile like, I shall walk with you.
I would certainly hope so.
It is good to bounce your ideas off other people. It doesn't make you complacent, and other people may see things that you do not. So, yes, I shall walk with you. Where do you wish to start?
I think first and foremost we should find this half-elf, because even if he isn't the one that stole the potion, according to the shopkeep, he's been watching the shop very heavily, so maybe he saw the thief.
It is a good start. Let's find the young boy, shall we? And he stands up and begins to have a look around. And I want you to make a perception check for me, please. In fact, make two, because one's for him and one's for you. I can't bother to roll.
All right. So the first one's a 21, the second one's a 14.
Okay, you immediately spot him, and it takes Tolvan maybe half a second later. He's not going to tell you whether he did or did not see. You see this young half-elf. He's got like shortish, darkish hair. And he's definitely a half-elf. His ears are much, much smaller than, for example, yours or any of the pureblood elves here. And he's wearing like this kind of like short cloak, but he's got the hood up, and it seems to be covering most of his face. And he's just skulking against up one of the alleyways, almost opposite to where the shop is. And it's fairly easy to like come and find him. He doesn't seem to be running away from you or anything. He's just standing there, keeping an eye on the shop.
Okay. So in a hushed voice, Balance is going to say to Talvin, "Keep an eye out. I have a bad feeling about one such as this."
I will. I will have my blades ready. Just shout if you need me. That one won't cost you.
I appreciate it. So Balance approaches the hooded half-elf, a bit wary. He's kind of casually resting his hands on the pommel of his blades.
Okay. The half-elf just continues. You assume to be looking at you. You can't really see his eyes because the hood's over, but he does turn his head in your direction.
Balance walks up, stops maybe 5 feet away from him, and says, "You there? Might I ask your name?"
Yeah, sure. My name's Rekkie. Wait a minute.
Spell that for me.
Rekkie.
Okay.
Wait a minute, aren't you? Oh my God, you are, aren't you? And he immediately sinks down to one knee and pulls his hood back as he recognizes who you are. Your Highness, what can I do for you? I am ever your humble servant.
Somebody that recognizes me in this area. That is both good and bad. Curious. Well, Rekkie, let me ask you a question. Why is it that you watch this potion shop?
Your Highness, he sort of looks up and just sort of looks around a little bit and looks back at the potion. It's like, as you've noticed, I'm a half-elf. My mother was human. I think that elf in there might be my father. That's why I've been watching him, but he doesn't really seem to be much of a pleasant fellow.
He's a rather interesting one, I must say. But besides that, so you believe him to be your father. That's interesting. But now tell me this, because I am here with a purpose. Were you the one that broke in and stole a potion from this gentleman?
No, Your Majesty, absolutely not. I would not need to steal a potion like that. I wouldn't. It's not even in my vocabulary to do so.
You jumped to answers before I even finished my question, almost as if you're actually trying to hide something from me, which would not be something I would recommend.
Take an insight check.
And indeed, I will insight check him. Fuck, that's a 9.
It's really hard to read. No, I'm sorry, Your Majesty. I wish to give you as much information as soon as I can. I'm awfully sorry if I come across any other way.
Well, then, if you have been watching this shop as long as you have, which I know not, then perhaps you can tell me who it is that did do this theft.
Your Highness, I can't tell you the name, but I did see a man break in there. He was a particularly old man. He hit the window a couple of times with a big rock. He seemed to really struggle to get in, and he left with something under his cloak. He headed off in that direction, and he points almost literally just behind where the shop is, off towards the woods. He points in that kind of direction.
I see. And You're sure of this?
I am. I can take you to where I thought I saw him run if you wish, Your Highness.
Can I insight him on that?
You may.
Wow, that's an 8. God damn it.
You can't be sure if he's being 100% honest with you about everything, i.e. he's really hard to read.
Well, half-elves are good when it comes to, well, charisma. Very well. How about this? I will make you a deal of sorts. Nothing that I will bind myself to, but I tell you that I will, if possible, help you with trying to reunite with this perhaps father of yours. Simply because I find the story to be inspiring. However, you will first aid me in finding this person you claim to be the thief, and if you speak truth, then I shall help you. But know that if you step out of line, if I think that you are lying to me, and if I think that you at any point pose a threat to me or any allies I may have on this endeavor, I will not hesitate to place one of my blades into your leg and drag you off to prison.
He looks visibly paled, but he stands up and flicks back his hoodie, and, the fact that he's pale he, however, stands in front of you, not shaking. He's clearly got a set jaw, panicked and worried, but he's willing to go along with this. Of course, Your Highness, if you would follow me. And he puts his hood back up and walks across the street. And he walks straight past Talvin, who just seems to raise an eyebrow at you and looks at the young chap. But the young chap just continues to the other side of the store, to where the broken window is.
I follow behind him about a good, 5-10 feet behind. Yep. And as I'm walking past, I give a sideways head nod to Talvin for him to follow behind.
Yep, Talvin walks a little behind you, letting you continue to lead the way. The boy takes you to where there is a broken window. Can you take a perception check for me, please?
Sure. 21 perception. There we go. That's
much better. From this side of the window, it must be something about being inside the potion shop that really threw you. But from the outside, you can clearly see that there is that the glass has been broken from the outside. You can see a rock nearby, which has clearly some glass shattered just a little around it. And you can see a set of tracks, almost as clear as daylight to you, and they seem to be winding off into the forest a little way. In exactly the direction that the boy had pointed.
Okay.
Your Highness, this is the pathway that I found. This is a pathway that I saw him walk along. I don't exactly know where it leads, but I know he went this way.
Balance pauses for a second, looks at the tracks, looks into the area where they're going, and then looks back at the half-elf. How much further would you be willing to go?
I'll go with you, Your Majesty, if that's what you want.
I would feel more comfortable if you would, just because I would like to confirm your story.
Well, of course. I mean, if you get to the other end of this and there's loads of houses, you're going to need to know which one of them did it, right? I'm probably best able to identify. Take an insight check. I can see it etched all on your face.
18.
He is being very honest.
Okay. Balance just chuckles and says, "Indeed, if there were many elves on the other side, then perhaps I would need somebody to identify. And are you skilled with a blade by chance? I can't imagine that a thief might be unarmed at all times."
Not particularly, Your Majesty. I'm more skilled in healing arts and the such like, potions and herbs.
Right, well then, you will stay by my side as opposed to being in front of me, and we will go together then.
All right, Your Majesty. Whatever you think best. And I assume the three of you continue along the path.
We do.
Cool.
Balance is equally keeping an eye ahead as he is watching the half-elf out of the side of his, the corner of his eye. Not so much out of distrust or anything, but more so out of curiosity because he's not had dealings with half-elves as much, at least not the common folk.
Yeah. I mean, common folk probably not so much you would have ever dealt with before, This is definitely your first slum case and your first case, so It's definitely unique for you. All right, so you continue along this, probably not that much further, probably about, a mile, if that. And you come to a small clearing, pretty small clearing within the woods, within the trees. And you see that there is what would have been back in its glory days, a really nice small cottage. Probably only, the kind of affair which is like two big rooms, you would assume, just looking at this cottage. But now it's run down. There are, there's a broken window which clearly hasn't been fixed. The seats outside are broken. You can see that there is what would have been like a child's play set, and that's all grown over and many, many years in ruins. And you can see that there are cracked tiles and everything on the ceiling. But there is smoke coming out of this small cottage.
And it seems like the tracks are leading to this point?
Yes. Yeah, right in your perception from earlier, yes, for sure.
Okay. Right then. I think it's best if I approach alone first and try to gauge what it is that's going on here. You two stay here, and Balance makes like a gesture with his eyes, like looking from Talvin to the half-elf as like a keep an eye on him sort of thing.
Talvin pretty much takes the hint, but he claps his hand on the younger boy's shoulder and is like, perhaps you should take a walk with me, and we shall cover the young master from the opposite side. And he takes the young half-elf boy, Reki, around the side so that where they end up within the tree line, they are directly opposite the door and the windows of this place. So they can provide you cover should you need it.
Gotcha. All right, so Balance then stands up straight, cracks his back a little, puts on his most regal and formal-looking appearance, and marches up to the door and just knocks on it 3 times. Just
as you knock on the door, there is a scuffling behind, and you hear this voice go, "Just give me a minute, one moment," and probably more than you would want to knock again if you hadn't heard him say something. But eventually, this old man comes to the door, and he's got. He looks very, very frazzled. He's quite decrepit. His back is more of an arch than you've probably ever seen any elf have. His arms look very scrawny and kind of broken. And he has like a long, scraggly white hair. It's not well kempt or anything like that. And his clothes are scrappy, and he doesn't look in the best health. Yes, what can I do for you?
You, old man, what is your name?
My name is Derlig. What is the manner of you being here?
What manner is that I am your prince, and you will address me as such, first of all.
You sort of see him squint at you. He reaches inside his pocket and pulls out some glasses and puts them on the end of his nose, but you can see that they're cracked and scratched, and he sort of peers at you a bit closer. It's like, I don't remember there being a prince born recently.
I was not born very recently, thank you. But I appreciate your flattery.
He seems to still be squinting at you oh, well, if you are, your majesty. Your majesty. And he tries to bow, but he's already stooped over so far that his hand is basically touching the ground. And he just scrapes some dirt. Your majesty, what can but an old man such as myself do for you? I'm really rather busy.
I have a witness saying that you were spotted stealing from an alchemy shop, stealing someone's potion.
Oh, yes, that's old Shindig, yes. You've caught me, clapped me in irons, and he puts both his arms out. I am not going to apologize. That old fool in there, I've tried to make many attempts at payments at some sort of plan, but constantly turning me away, so clap me in irons and take me away.
Balance has a flashback to the no credit sign.
Yep.
Balance looks very confused at this just blatant, honesty and submission. Looks back at Talvin for a sec with a bit of a confused look, I wasn't expecting this. And turns back to the old man. Why do you freely admit this?
Because I've tried everything I could to procure this in an honest, decent way, but there's only so much an old man can do.
And frankly put, if going to jail helps my granddaughter, then I shall do it.
Granddaughter?
Yes, my granddaughter, she was sick. Please, come inside if you aren't going to arrest me already. Let's go.
And he puts his hand out and just like literally grabs you by like the lower part of your arm and drags you into his home. And you can see that the main area of the home is, there's a crackling fire going, even though it's, it's fairly warm at this point of day, but there's still a fire going. And you can see that a makeshift bed has been set up next to it. And upon this, you can see what you would imagine, a fairly young elven woman is laying in this bed, and she looks pretty sick, and she has that very strange glow about her, the one that you'd probably know to be Lighters. And she's shaking a lot, and she's sweating profusely, and you can see like the potion bottle is clearly on the stand next to her, and she about half of it has gone through.
How long has she been sick like this?
She came to me a year ago after her mother passed, my daughter, and she was sick then, but she had no money and I had very little. We've been trying to scrimp and save for this potion, but she got too sick.
Balance looks flustered, and then he tries to put on a very stern face and says, "You will wait here for a moment. I need to go speak with somebody. If you attempt to flee, I will find you."
I have no intention of fleeing. It took all my strength to get to the bloody shop every day. But whatever you wish, Your Majesty.
And he sits down on the bed, almost slumps down onto it, and he takes the young girl's hand and sort of like begins to pat it over affectionately, just constantly patting it on top and stroking her hand and letting her know that he's there. So I assume you're going outside?
Yeah, Balance walks out and makes a beeline directly towards Talvin.
Yep.
He walks up to Talvin and just pauses trying to find the words, and then is like, I don't know what to do.
Talvin looks at Reki and sort of like dismisses him with a bit of a nod, and Reki goes off to one side like, "As I've been trying to teach you, there are sometimes more than black and white to laws, and sometimes you have to look at why people commit the crimes, not just motive, but why. And being that we are in a position to see when the system is broken, maybe we can fix that to stop crimes like that happening." And he gestures to the building.
But how can I fix something like that for the long run? The laws would have to be changed. They would have to be revised. That's not something...
He puts his hands on your shoulder. It's like, your father is next in line, is he not?
Well, yes, of course.
And who's in line after that?
Well, me, if it ever came to it.
Of course it will. You're third in line for technically second in line for the throne. One day you will be able to make these changes.
I see.
I've been trying to show that sometimes the world isn't black and white. Sometimes there's a right thing to do. And sometimes there's following the law. You must do whatever you wish. This is why, and even though technically I win 10 gold, this is why I'm not going to be taking this money from you. This is up to you to make this decision about the sort of person you want to be. I'll be taking the young lad back to the shop. I'll let you decide what you wish to do. And he gives you a clap on the shoulder, like, I know you're going to do the right thing. And he goes off and takes Reki with him.
Balance just stands there for a moment, trying to absorb everything that he said. And then gets a very stern look on his face and marches back to the house.
Yep.
Out of character.
Yes.
What is the general consensus of currency? Like, what is considered money?
Well, like 50 gold for a healing potion, even a crappy one, is probably about the right price. But it's not something that the common man could easily put by. It would probably take them a very long time to do. But I mean, things like meals and like like a beer, like an ale would be like 2 or 3 copper. A meal would probably be almost a silver, that kind of thing. But that's kind of the general wealth. And this area that you are currently in, the slum area, like handfuls of gold is probably a good amount. Like, a dozen gold is probably, they had a good year kind of thing, if they managed to put that by in a year.
Gotcha. And I assume that Balance at this time in his life probably has a fair amount of wealth. Both from his father
you would have. I mean, your father's wealth would probably be quite a lot. You would have your own stipend, being that you are a prince of the realm. But being that you are training to be an inquisitor, you would have like the equivalent of a princess pay. I don't know whether you would take it, being that you are royal family, don't really need a bunch of money for yourself. But that the option is there should you wish it. So you have access to funds.
Would I have any on my person?
Yes, we can go with yeah.
Okay. So Balance marches back up to the cottage, doesn't even bother knocking, and just goes back in the door, and walks into the room with the old man and the young woman. Marches up in front of the old man and says, "I've made my decision."
You're here to arrest me, aren't you? And
he like leans over and gives the little lass a little kiss on the top of her head. You can see that all the potion is gone now, and he just puts his arms out to you.
Turn your hands up towards the ceiling.
Of course, Your Majesty.
And he puts both his hands out, facing the sky.
Balance reaches behind him and from his belt pulls a small coin purse with, let's say, roughly 50 gold in it.
Okay.
And drops it into the old man's hands and then walks out the door.
Okay. Are you walking briskly or are you just walking?
No, just walking.
As you kind of hit the edge of the clearing, you hear the old man finally reach the door, and he's like, "Your Majesty, I don't understand."
As he's walking towards the forest line, before he disappears, he just shouts back to the old man, "Take care of yourself and take care of her."
"We are forever in your debt, Your Majesty." And you begin to hear the sounds of his voice cracking, and he goes back inside and you hear the door close.
Balance makes his way back to the alchemy shop.
Okay. Back at the alchemy shop, you can see that opposite Tulvan and Reki are both leaning against the building. They seem to be having like some sort of a quiet conversation between them.
Okay. Balance, without even looking at either of them, just walks into the alchemy shop and tries to locate where the shopkeeper is.
Oh, as soon as you walk in, you see him behind, like polishing the top. He's cleared the glass away, but he hasn't replaced the window just yet. But he's sort of like cleaning the top of his counter. Like,
yes, did you manage to find them?
Unfortunately, sir, I was unable to locate your stolen goods. But here, consider it a repayment from myself. How much was the potion worth?
Yes, it's 250 gold.
Right, well then I'll be covering that myself then. And he reaches behind him and pulls out a coin purse and starts trying to count out the money in front of the shopkeep.
Okay. Do you know what? Let's say for the sake of brevity, because this is quite a nice moment, let's say you had 500 when you came out this morning, because you're used to buying things that cost money. So
course.
Yeah, you could easily have like 250 on you. Yeah.
All right, so I'd count out the 250, drop it on the counter in front of him, not hard dropping it, like breaking the display or anything, but like there's a nice solid clink to it as it connects.
This is all I actually really wanted, was just a replacement for the materials and the time, you understand?
Of course, I understand perfectly. Perhaps in the future I will stop by your establishment should I need a potion.
Oh yes, of course. Just remind me where you came here and I'll sort it out for you, not a problem.
He seems overly ecstatic that you've paid him 250 gold. And he quickly sweeps it away, and you see it put him into his register of sorts.
Right. Well, then you have a good rest of your day, sir. And as always, if you have need, you need simply ask.
Oh, yes, of course. Thank you very much. Well, I don't mean to be rude, but I do need to replace a window. Off you go.
Of course.
Kind of shoos you out of the shop.
Balance, like the whole time while he's being shooed out, has like a strange mixture of like a smile and like a grimace. feeling like he kind of got played by the shopkeeper, but at the same time feeling good about it.
Yeah.
Makes his way out the door.
Yeah, you have a feeling that he has more than replaced the cost of the potion, more than replaced the cost of the time for the potion, and probably replaced the window too. He seems to know his shiz. Okay, across you see Tolvan, and Tolvan sort of like walks over to you as you walk across to assume across to him, and he meets you in the middle. So did everything go well?
I think that things went pretty well, I would say, yes. Balance pauses for a second, kind of smirks to himself. I played to my strengths, you could call it.
Okay. Well, do you know how you're going to fill out the rap sheet for this?
There's a rap sheet?
Oh, son. And he puts his arm around you and like begins to like walk towards like where you back towards your father's estate. It's like, well, yes, paperwork. Now that is yet another fine art I have to show you. Our second story is about a dwarf named Sultana, voiced by Casey. Deep within Dusk territory, Sultana, a dwarf, travels as part of a group of adventurers known as Tears Irregulars. Together they seek to right the wrongs and spread the word of Torm, Tyr, and Elmata, collectively known as the Triad. It is upon the road that they find a family in distress and under duress from criminals. Will this just be a simple fix and walk on? Will they actually get paid this time? I guess we're about to find out. Welcome to Zaltanna's story. Okay, so we open up upon a long road within a forest. It's damp, it's drizzling with rain, it's not the most pleasant, but the company is. And we come across 5 people trudging along this path amongst the trees. There are 2 dwarves, 2 elves, and a gnome. The gnome is bald. He's quite thin with giant blue eyes, slightly too big for his face, but it kind of makes him a bit endearing. And he moves with precision and grace, and his name is Tuckbusket. And next to him is a dwarf who has a quite lithe frame. She has long, fiery red hair. She's got braids, brown eyes. She's wearing a very bright pink and blue outfit. It totally stands out, but it proclaims her as she is. She is a bard, and her name is Elise Grimizand. The elves are clearly brother and sister, and they share the same bright hazel eyes. There is Benno, who is physically fit and he carries a bow, and he has cropped short blonde hair and is quite tanned. And Odette, who is his sister, and she has long, curly, blonde hair that bounces and swishes with every move, and she is an appealing grace with everything she does. And this is Odette, and Odette is the wife of our Zaltanna. So, what does Zaltanna look like?
So Zaltanna is about 4'6". She's tanned, like she's out in the sun a lot. She has light brown hair that goes halfway down her back, and she wears it over her shoulder in a loose fishtail braid. Hazel eyes. She's muscular and wears chainmail over a long-sleeved white tunic and brown breeches. She wears a chain with the symbol of Tyr and her wedding ring around her neck. Her wedding ring's actually on her hand. Damn it.
At this point, the ring is on her hand, I believe.
It's a thick bronze ring. She has a great sword and a shield with the symbol of Tyr, and there is an eyebrow ring in her left eyebrow.
It looks pretty dope.
She looks like someone you don't want to fuck with, but she's smiling.
Yeah, Odette on the offset is she wears a very, very delicate bronze ring. It's kind of almost like filigree that kind of like goes from like literally from the joint all the way up to the knuckle, and it's very beautiful and very swish. It fits who she is, and she's constantly smiling and very, very happy. And as a troop, they seem to be pretty happy walking along this pathway together. They've clearly been together for a long time, and they are known as Tears Irregulars.
Yes.
Excellent. Okay. You are all making your way towards the town of False Hope, just spreading the word of Tyr, Torm, and Elmata. And As you arrive to this town, the trees begin to thin out, and you can see the walls of this town have been, they're pretty sturdy. They're well constructed, made of various stones, and you can see there's like a couple of people walking the wall. But as you make your way there, as you see this off slightly ahead of you, you can see that there are other houses that have been built sporadically around the edge of this town, not within it so much, and the first building that you come to, which is pretty much about in line with the time that you first see this wall around Falls Hope, you come across a building. And this building is in ashes. It has been burnt to the ground. The other odd houses that you can see, like sort of at the edges of your periphery, they seem to be fine and totally okay. But this one is burnt to the ground. And as you get there, Benno, he goes ahead and he checks out the scene, and he comes back with a large sign which has clearly been burnt but not burnt all the way through, and you can see that it's a sign that says, "Wouldn't it be nice?" Thank you. Trying not to laugh. A sign saying, "Wouldn't it be nice? Len Hall and daughter and son." And it's clearly a sign for a carpenter's. And this is what you find as you walk towards town. Is there anything you'd like to do while you're here?
What did the sign say?
Wouldn't it be nice? I'll write it in chat for you. This is so cool. I did a similar thing for someone else. I love these corny pun names.
Oh,
Wooden.
like wood, like WOOD. Okay, got it. I was like, why is that? Well, I don't get it.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm having a stupid night. Just ignore me.
Yeah, so it's literally a sign that says, "Wouldn't it be nice? Len Hu and daughter and son." And it's clearly a sign for a carpenter's. Is there anything you'd like to do while you're here?
I feel like they're probably going to go to the tavern and see what's going on in town, or Zaltanna would recommend that they go to like the tavern, because that's usually where the local gossip, you can get the best local gossip around there, and find out what's going on in town and who needs help, and if they can pick up some odd jobs to make money, because I don't think they're doing great money-wise. Yeah, I know they're not doing great money-wise.
Elise, who is kind of, she's the more worldly of this particular troupe, being that the other four of you have been within the Temple of the Triad for some time. I mean, obviously, with Sultana having spent some of her time not at the temple before she arrived there, but the rest of them have pretty much always been at the temple. She's your worldly guide, and she tends to take care of your money. She also likes money a lot more than the rest of you. So for her, it's a natural fallback for her, and her being the bard, she knows the worth of gold. She takes the lead as you go into the town, and you come into the town of Falls Hope proper, and you can see that within, as well as the walls that have been built pretty sturdy. This is quite a large town, and each of the cabins and houses that have been built here are really sturdy. They are wooden cabins that have been clearly built by a skilled hand. The further in you get, the more elegant the buildings become, until eventually you come across like the tavern, the central hub of this place, and the temple, which are constructed from stone, unlike the rest of the buildings. As you walk into the town, although it looks like it's quite prosperous and is sturdily built and everything, and quite large, you come across signs that the people are not so well off here. You find that, the kind of people who are dressed, very, very well walk past those who are clearly beggars and don't have a lot. People who are very ragged, very thin, who look in some cases quite sick. And as you make your way to the tavern, just as you arrive there, you see a dwarf woman, and you see a male elf, and they have two younger children with them. They have a son and they have a daughter, and they appear to be, as a group, sort of like off to one side around the tavern, sort of out of the main thoroughfare. But as you arrive, you kind of see this and hear this. You can see that the son and the daughter are both crying, and you see that the parents are trying to comfort them. What do you want to do?
Aww. Zaltanna is gonna walk over and hold on, let me get the accent. All right, so everything okay over here?
No, Mom.
And, you know, the little girl, like, wraps her arms around her mum, and her mum's, like, wiping tears away from her face, and she looks up at you, and this dwarven woman has, like, very, very large green eyes, and she looks like she knows how to defend herself. She's quite, you know, she's burly enough. She definitely couldn't take you, but she's burly enough. She looks up at you with tears in her eyes, and she says, well, no, actually, we're just saying goodbye to our family, but if you wouldn't mind just moving on. And she again drops to one knee and wraps her arms around her daughter, and she says, it's okay, little one. It may only be for a little time, but we will see you again. And Odette comes and walks up next to you, and she looks at you, and you can immediately know what Odette is thinking. You two have been together for a long time, and you know each other. And she slips her hand into yours, and she gives you those big doe eyes that say, we've got to help them.
Zaltanna is like, yeah, like, she agrees. So she's going to be like,
Oh.
Listen, we're Tier's regulars. And our job is to help people who are in need. And frankly, you seem like you're in need. So is there anything we can do for you? It's like anything at all?
The father, the elf, with the children sort of flocking to the mother and putting their arms around, she's kind of too busy comforting them to really pay much attention. But the father sort of looks over at you. He's trying to keep a the equivalent of the stiff upper, the English stiff upper lip sort of thing. But you can see he's beginning to get to him a little bit, and he looks at yourself and your elf companion, and he says, our home was burnt. We're a family of carpenters, and we have no money and only a few good tools and no home. We cannot afford to support our children until we rebuild, and we have attempted that once, and they came back and burnt it down again. If there is any help you could offer, anything at all, we would appreciate it. Just keep our family together. And you can see the little boy just sort of like, steps away from his mother a little bit and takes his dad's hand, and the boy looks at you and he says, the boy is kind of more dwarven in appearance than his sister. And the boy says, please, if you can help us, miss.
Yeah, I'd love to help. And she turns to her group and she's like, hey guys, come over here.
The rest of your crew, Taka and Elise and Benno come across. Benno takes one look at his sister, and Benno being probably he considers you a sister also. Looks at you, looks at Odette, and just you see him roll his eyes. He already knows the answer. But Tuck and Elise come over, and Tuck is like, so what's going on?
This family, their house is burned down, and they're gonna send off the little ones because they can't afford to keep them. We gotta help them.
Oh man, yeah, totally. We can help with that. We can do rebuilding, and hey, we got this, right? I mean, how much gold do we have? And he looks at Elise, and as soon as he does, you see his face flush a little bit and look away again. Elise just seems to be paying no mind to this accident. And she opens up the coffers and she says, well, we have 5 gold. I'm not really sure how far that's going to get us.
Well, let's see. And Zaltanna kind of puts her hand up to her chin and scratches, like she's really thinking about what they can do. And she's like, Benno, you got any ideas?
Benno takes up a kind of, he leans against the wall a little bit, stroking his complete lack of a beard. I'm actually doing the movement here, realised that I also have no beard, so kind of, I'm feeling his pain.
I was doing it.
I saw you doing the same. Yeah. So yeah, he leans back against the wall, stroking his chin, and he says, well, if some of us use your skills as a carpenter to chop down the wood and rebuild the home, we could attempt that. Adette, you're good with children. You should look after the children while we're doing this, and Elise can probably get us some more money to keep us going. I can go out and hunt. Would this solve the problem? And the woman sort of like stands up, like, sort of like hefting her sort of very thin, live little lass. She looks more elven in nature. She looks over and says, "Well, it's not just that. I mean, we've had our differences with the gangs here, and they came and burnt our house down the first time round, and now they burnt it down the second time. We've got nothing to offer you. I mean, if we rebuild, there's a chance that they're going to just come back. We can't defend them. I don't think we've got the strength in us to do that again."
You see Zaltanna get she stiffens up a little bit when gangs are mentioned.
Yeah. Adette squeezes your hand just a little bit.
What gangs?
Well, there's this gang that call themselves the Doubles. I socked one of them square in the jaw last time they came, but I think it's just pissed them off more.
The double ones?
Yeah, those. Do you know them?
You might say that.
Well, if you know what you're up against, we'll understand if you don't want to help.
Nah, fuck them.
You see you see the woman smile, sort of like wipe a tear out of one of her eyes, and she walks over, it's like hefting the little lass to another hip, and she puts her hand out to yourself, Sultana. Is like, "My name's Agnes. It's nice to meet you, lass."
Zaltanna.
"Nice to meet you. What about the rest of you?" And they go around and introduce themselves one by one. It's like, "Hi, I'm Tuck," and Elise is, "I am the bard known as Elise. Nice to meet you all." And you have Benno and Adette introduce themselves, and they introduce themselves as being Agnes, the mother. They end up being Kithlin, the father. There is a young son named Peter, who is more dwarven in nature, and an older daughter who is named Kitra. And between them, you find that they have, very small amount of gold, but they do have upon them, at least upon the father and the daughter, they have what looks like to be a pretty good set of carpenter's tools that they've been carrying with them. And they offer to take you out to where their home is.
Okay. Zaltanna is lead the way. And she takes Odette's hand and
Yeah. Okay. So the 9 of you. The 9 of you make your way back out towards, out of town. And the very first place that you came across, the burnt out remains, the family report to be their home. It was quite a large place. The home itself was quite small, the domicile, just where the sleeping area is and where that goes. It was quite small, but the actual carpentry workshop itself was quite large. And the father, he he gives you a rough idea how much wood he think that you would need. And he says, "So, yes, we need probably, quite an expanse of logs. I'm not sure how much it is that you think you can cut down within the time, but I can offer to help you. My son and I can either help you with cutting down the wood, or you could leave us to start the building whilst you cut down the wood, and perhaps my wife Agnes will give you an assistance. And it's entirely up to you. What do you think we should be doing, Miss Sultana?"
Well, I think that we should start I think that we should start cutting down the wood. I think that I feel like rebuilding is the first thing that we should do, and then I think we should worry about the double ones when they get here. And you know what? Like I said, fuck them.
As you say that, you see him put his hands over the ears of his daughter. And he gives you a bit of a stern look, as only a father can.
She kind of looks sheepish and goes, "Yeah, sorry. Some habits die hard, and I've been, you'd think the monastery would have bred that stuff out of me, but not so much."
He continues to give a stern look, and he says, "Perhaps it would be better if my son and my daughter helped me to rebuild, and perhaps Agnes would be kind enough to go with you." And she readily accepts. She seems happy enough to be doing a lot of manual work. She's clearly capable of this kind of thing. Okay, so yourself, Tuck goes out with you despite being somewhat shorter. But he is able to hold his own at least. So yourself, Tuck goes out, and Agnes goes out with you. And you spend a good portion of like the next probably day and a bit cutting down this wood. Are you at any point organizing any watches? Are you just going to cut the wood and go to sleep? Are you going to try and learn more about the family? What are you up to at the moment? Odette is currently off, literally looking after the children, whilst the father and the mother are doing other important things.
Well, we're definitely gonna set up watches because the double ones are nothing to fuck with. So,
they're nothing to fuck with, but fuck those guys.
Yeah, exactly. Double ones ain't nothing to fuck with. What was I saying? Yeah, we're gonna definitely set up some sort of watch system. I think the irregulars should do. There's 6 of us, so we should do. I counted correctly, right? No, I did not. There's 5 of us.
There are indeed 5 of you. Yeah.
We should do 2 by. Well, we can do 2 by 2, and Benno can pull 2 shifts because elves only need like 4 hours of sleep. So, whatever.
Yeah. This is probably fairly regular, to be honest. Benno probably does the first and last watch. Because he's fairly used to that, and Odette kind of likes her sleep. So she doesn't do 2 watches despite being an elf. She very much enjoys her sleep. You're not sure if it's because she enjoys her sleep or she just enjoys laying next to you, but you can take it for however you wish.
That's so cute.
So the first night, having put up watches, when you get up in the morning, Benno pulls you to one side and he says, Zalt, during the night, we found that when I was on watch, I noticed there are a few people watching us. There was one looked very magical and the other not so much. I think we need to be on our guard today and possibly tonight.
Yeah, sounds like we probably should. Where'd you see them?
I saw them out behind the back of where we're building the house, and he indicates the woods like literally off the path and sort of in the opposite direction to the town. They seem to be skulking about, getting the lay of the land. I don't think they saw me, but they definitely saw everyone else caught up in the building. Do you want to set a patrol now, or?
Let's go with let's set up a patrol. How you feeling?
No, I'm good. I had a good 4 hours of meditation last night. I'm refreshed and ready to go.
Okay, you and Tusk take a couple hours patrolling right now. I am gonna talk to Agnes and see exactly what trouble they got into with the double ones that got them to this point.
Probably
maybe it'll help.
Good idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, I'll take Tuck and I'll take Elise. I think I think I'll boost his spirit somewhat. He doesn't like sleeping out in the cold.
Yeah. How's she doing with buskin', by the way?
Well, she came in about an hour before the end of my watch. I think she had a good time. She came back clinking. That's how I heard her.
I don't doubt it.
Yeah.
Don't let Tuck get too jealous there.
I'll do my best to keep them apart. Catch you later, sister.
Oh no, don't do that. Don't keep them apart.
Yes, but I have to remind them they are on watch. Catch you later. And
all right.
He goes and rounds up Elise, and he goes and rounds up Tuck. And they, the 3 of them, go about on their patrol. You can see that as you go and speak to Agnes, that Agnes and Kithlin are in the middle of setting up, finishing off, kind of the top part of the wall, which will be the domicile of their home, and they're beginning to work on the roof. You can see that there is a basic structure for the carpentry area itself, and it's quite large. It's 2 or 3 times bigger than the domicile itself. But you can see that they're up on there and they're having a good-natured chat and, hitting things. And there's the sound of productivity and putting things together. And there's clearly a lot of craftsmanship going with what they're doing. And sort of on the other side of this building, you can see that Odette is playing a game of tag with the two kids. And they seem to be having a bit of a whale of a time. She's having lots of laughter. And you can see that from pretty much where you are. And as you get to where Agnes and Kithin are working, Agnes looks down and is like, "You all right, lass?"
Can I talk to you?
Yeah, sure. And she kind of jumps down, sort of. She climbs down with grace. She climbs down off of the roof, and she's holding a couple of the tools in her hand, obviously eager to get back on with the job. What's up?
So I just want to know, because it might, come in handy later when we're fighting them. But you think you could tell me how did you get into some trouble with the double ones in the first place?
You can see her look up at Kithin, who basically almost immediately turns away and starts hammering again. And she takes a couple of steps away and indicates you to come with her. And she says, "Well, the thing is, we didn't always have all the money in the world. We to get this place up and running about 20, 30 years ago, just after we got married, I had to borrow some money. And we set up the carpentry shop and we've been paying them back ever since, a bit here, a bit there. But the rates are getting too high, far, far too high, and we couldn't afford to keep doing what they're doing and feed the kids. So one day they turned up with a couple of men and they threatened my son, so I hit them with a frying pan. Didn't take that too kindly. Set fire to the house. We got the kids out fine. We rebuilt. We got our friends to help us. Lent us money. Started rebuilding. I thought that was the end of it. Then 2 weeks ago, they turned up again. And they didn't warn us. They just set fire to it. And thankfully, Peter's all right now, but he wasn't doing too well to start with. But now we've got nothing. Except for the kindness of yourself.
Yeah, listen. And I'm saying this as someone who's dealt with the double ones a lot. Even if we, beat the crap out of these guys that are coming after you, the one big issue that you're going to have is it's a big organization. And they're going to send more people. So, I'm not saying you should leave. What I'm saying is you should hunker down for, a war.
Is there anything you think you could do if you had dealings with them before? Is there anything you could say to him? It's not like we had a lot left to pay back to him. It wasn't like I'm not gonna. It's just the rates they started putting in were just too high. I've got no problem paying back what I owe, but we just can't afford it with what they're throwing on us. And then they burnt down the house. We were lucky to get the tools we could.
Well, I can certainly try, but I can't make any promises. I don't think I'm really their favorite person either. But I might know somebody who knows somebody. I'll see what I can do.
You're a diamond, you really are. Even if we can just get ourselves up and running again, we can start paying them back, but anything you could do would help. Just even keeping our family together just a little bit longer. It's really appreciated, and I thank you. And she puts her hand out to you just to shake it.
And Zaltanna extends her hand to shake back.
She has quite a calloused hand. It's clearly a hand that's worked well, and she has got a lot of strength behind it. It's not often that you get to have a handshake which is equally as powerful as your own. You don't have to be gentle with this one. So Agnes goes back to working on the roof, and you see that once Benno and Elise and Tuck return back, he gives you a bit of a shove. They've come back with some wood, and they've come back, saying that they haven't exactly spotted anything. And Odette comes over to you. The kid's running around her ankles, and she seems to be very happy. just playing chase with the kids, and she hands them over to the mother. You can see the invisible line of caretaker and mother, that invisible line where she walks across the threshold and the kids run to their mother, and they're happy enough. And Odette looks at you and she says, "So are we gonna go on patrol or?"
Yeah, just one second and then we're gonna go on patrol.
Okay.
And she looks at Elise, and she goes, how much have you made so far?
Well, yesterday I made, a good 60 gold. I've paid for some more provisions. I've got them stocked up on fire and wood and stuff, so we're actually only down to about 20 now.
Okay. And that's all we got?
That's all we got. I mean, I can attempt to go out again. Why? What are you looking for?
I'm worried because this, frankly, you guys, about the double ones. This is going to be.
We know.
I talked to Agnes, and it's a loan thing. And they raised the loan repayment prices, and
oh, how much are we talking about?
It's going to be a war. I don't know. I feel like, there's a part of me that's bred not don't ask.
Yeah.
If one of you guys wants to ask about it, that's up to you. But what I'm thinking is, they got give me the 20 golds, and if we see the guy, I'm gonna try to bribe him.
If you give me enough time, I can probably go and earn a bit more money.
Okay, how much time you think?
Give me till sundown.
All right. How much you think you can earn, just so I can, in case I have a chance to talk to them, I can give them a rough estimate.
Well, if I take Tuck with me, we could go in as a double axe. We always need to make a bit more money that way.
Yeah,
maybe another 100.
Do that. And she's got this smile on her face.
Now, Sultana, I'm not encouraging him. And you see that little smile of hers, which clearly says she is.
All right. If you say so, Elise.
Yeah. Hey, Tuck, do you fancy going into town with me? And he immediately just springs off of where he is, and he goes over to her. It's like, yeah, sure. Where are we going? What are we doing? And literally, as they're walking out, she explains the plan to him. And he gets overly enthusiastic. He trips over his feet once or twice, that sort of thing. This is a guy that you have known since you've arrived at the monastery, and he's always very calm and collected. But around here, he's the biggest klutz. So yeah, they go off happily chatting, and you can see them practice some of their more as they're walking along. They do some of their practice moves. So they do a combined cartwheel together, and it's very cool and very, very sweet. And you see them doing these things, just warming themselves up as they get towards town. Okay, so Tuck and Elise have gone for a walk.
All right. So Zaltanna's gonna turn to Odette and be like, "All right, babe, it's time for us to go on patrol."
Okay. As you begin your walk around, can you take a perception check for me, please?
Yes, I can.
Bam, bam, bam.
Is it terrible?
So as a side note, when we do rolls, you have to announce what you roll, because
sorry,
they can't see.
16. That's right. I always forget. I got a 16.
Awesome. On a 16, as you're making this very big arc around where this place is, and Odette is sort of just she's trying to pay attention to what's going on, but she just will occasionally just burst out into conversation. And it's during one of these just this idle chit chat. You notice that there are some tracks which lead initially away from the house, but you can see a bit further along where the bushes are under the trees. There's a slight break in some of the branches to show that they've gone forward and swung around these big pile of bushes. What do you want to do?
I'd like to follow the tracks, please, Alex. It's the microphone.
Behind magic bush number 1, you see. So yeah, you follow these tracks along, and Adette sort of like begins to furrow her brow and pay more attention to what's going on. And you follow these tracks a little way, and you see where it has broken into these bushes. And behind these bushes, you can see there's a place where clearly someone has spent some time. There's the depressions are a little deeper in here. There are more cracked branches. And as Adette looks at it, and she tilts her head to one side, she says, I think there are 2 people that were waiting here. Let me have a look. And she sort of like drops down to one knee, and she swivels herself so that she can see over the bushes. And you can see that there is a perfect line to where, almost a perfect line, when she jiggles herself just in the right way, where she can see the building of the house and she can see everyone there. But it's only from this very particular vantage point in which she can see this particular area where there is clearly people been waiting here at some point. I mean, if this is where they're looking to attack from,
Might be.
maybe we should, we could wait here for them. I mean, if they're coming back again tonight, you and me could go on a stakeout.
It's been a while since we did one of those.
Yeah, it's been a while. But, this will be a good place as any. Not right here. We want to stake these people out, but perhaps we could give it a try.
Yeah.
We're not too far away from the house if they attack from a different route. Maybe we can end it here before it gets into a fight. I don't like fighting. It's not my forte. That's you. You're the fighter.
Yeah. And she smiles tenderly at Odette.
I
think
sort of
that-
because yeah.
Yeah, I think that we should try to end it before it starts. I don't like seeing you get hurt in battles.
She looks down a little bit shyly. Well, okay, if that's we don't have to ask Brenno's permission, but you know what I mean. Okay, well, let's head back then. So you guys head back, and it comes to evening as the sun set, and just as it is, you definitely hear the noisy approach of Elise and Tuck as they're coming back. They seem to be in very high spirits, and as they're walking along, you can hear Elise tapping her tambourines to a beat. She's definitely clearly in high spirits. She's very, very happy, and they're chatting away and having a good talk as they arrived back to the house. The house itself has been. The domicile itself, like the exterior, the shell, the roof, the walls, they have been built. There is clearly a chimney place in which they could, if they really wanted to, set a fire. He doesn't suggest it, but it's one that they could do. You can see that the foundation work for the carpentry area itself is again beginning to make to raise up. And as you arrive back, you can see that as they arrive back, Agnes and the children and Odette are eating off to one side. You can see the father, Kithin. He's talking to Benno, and you can see the other 2 have come back. Where are you in this scenario?
Well, we just got back to the house, right?
You've probably been back for a little while. It's Tuck and Elise that are arriving back.
Okay. She's probably. Where'd you say Agnes was?
She's by the, not that there is a fire because they haven't fireproofed yet, but by the fireplace, Agnes and the children and Adette are eating.
She's probably eating, joking with the kids, talking to Agnes.
Take an insight check with advantage.
Okay.
You're inciting Adette at this moment.
I'm inciting Odette.
Yeah.
Okay. 12. With advantage.
Okay, Odette just seems very, very happy.
I'm
Yep. That's what you're getting.
I'm distracted by her beauty. The beauty of my wife. I love her.
Wow, that's so smooth. Wow. Okay, I want to give you something for this, but I can't. I'll tell you what, store an inspiration for the first game.
For real?
Yeah, for real. That's for real, yeah. I don't give them out very often, but that is so cheesy, it's amazing. Good story and inspiration for game 1. So Atuk and Elise come back into the room, and Elise drops upon the table. No, we wouldn't have a table at this point. She drops upon the ground in front of you. She drops a bag of lots of clinking. Yeah, she drops a bag full of coins, and it clinks quite merrily. And you can see that the top opens up a little bit, and you can see a variety of like coppers, and mostly coppers. You know, there are quite a few silvers in there, but occasionally you see the odd bit of gold. Yeah, this is the bag that she just drops in front of you.
How much is in there specifically?
Well, we managed to get ourselves 170 gold. We had some amazing tricks. Oh my god, Elise was so beautiful and so great, and she begins to blush a little bit and she rolls her eyes. Yes, well, we did enough. Do you think this would be helpful?
Yeah. Looks like a lot to me. Let me just, she's gonna, she's gonna take the money and she's gonna try to count it out. So she has an exact number.
Yeah, you count it out of being like 100 and 168, let's say, and the odd bits of change, a couple of silver, a couple of copper, that sort of thing, all told. It's about 168 plus some change.
Okay, 168 gold, and then plus the extra 20, so that's 188 gold. Okay, perfect. So she's gonna tuck that bag away, and she's gonna go walk outside, walk over to Benno and be like, do you think they're gonna attack tonight, or you think, considering what Odette and I saw?
If I were them, yeah. I mean, the house itself is mostly built. Be no better time to ruin the spirits.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to set an ambush for them, we should make it look like some of us have If we want to set an ambush, we should make the house look as peaceful and as off our guard as possible while a couple of us go for the ambush. What do you think?
I feel like I'd like to try to bribe them before we start fighting. But what if I
Is that Odette talking or you? And he gives you a bit of a knowing smile.
Yeah, your sister has a positive influence on me enough already. she's like smiling, like clearly in love. Just as in love now as she was the day she met her.
Oh, okay, you can get one inspiration, not more. He gives you a wicked smile. It's clear that, he has a love of affection for you. And that's yes, he also agrees. His sister is a positive influence on pretty much everyone he meets, including him. Who's you've known occasionally to be a bit cold and sometimes a bit calculating. But he goes along with your plan. So do you want me to back you up, or perhaps someone else?
Yeah, Benno, I think you're the best one to back me up.
All right. Okay. Let's do this. We'll get them to we'll get the others to set up another party, and then you and I will sneak our way around to the ambush site. All right. Let's make it look jolly and happy, shall we? And he goes inside. And at the idea that they should be much more jolly, much more happy, you see, as soon as this idea of like pretending to be lax in the security, Elise immediately jumps up and starts like tapping away with her tambourine and making like a lot of noise. And she goes through this amazing dance routine. It is, it's inspirational is how good this dance routine is. And she does the belly dancing thing, which kind of initially puts the mother off and covering the eyes of her children. But after a while you can see it's not, it's not provocative. It's just good natured and very fun. And eventually you see if everyone in the house is eventually getting up and like joining into this like kind of like festival feeling belly dancing attitude, just like teaching the little one how to be graceful and stuff, and it's very cute. And you see Odette trying to pull this off as well, and she's not as graceful as Elise, but she's at least exuding beauty anyway. So this is the party atmosphere. Oh yeah, so yeah, this party atmosphere is it's taking off, and Benno gives you a bit of a nudge and indicates that it's time.
Zaltanna's like nods and she gets up and leading the way, she and Benno walk out the door.
Cool.
Towards
As
the
you
ambush site.
Excellent. You guys make your way towards this ambush site, something you've set up. Is it going to be really close to the house, closer to the town? Is it going to be almost on top of these bushes, the place that you found them resting before? What is it that where are you trying to prepare?
I feel like she wants to be close to the bushes because that's where they seem to be coming from. That was where their site was. So somewhere near there-ish.
Okay,
I'm
excellent.
a horrible tactician in real life, which is annoying because Zaltanna would be a much better tactician than me. So I have no idea what... Casey has no idea what she's doing, frankly.
That's not a problem.
Little bit of magic behind the microphone.
You are very... you become aware that as you are making your way towards the ambush site that you and Benno have picked out, you become aware that he is... wrapping magic around yourself and around him, and you become aware that your movements are very, very quiet, as if deadened. You know, you realise that the branches you step on don't actually quite snap underneath you. You seem to be leaving no footprints behind you. Become aware that he's cast a magic that you would know as passed without trace. At least that's how he terms it. And you guys set yourselves up on the opposite to where this where you think that they're going to be holed up. I'm going to make can you make a stealth check with me with a +10?
12.
That was
Why
with a
is there
+10.
disadvantage over there?
No, that shouldn't be a
I just-
disadvantage.
Is it because I have, like, terrible dexterity?
No. No. Oh, are you wearing heavy armor?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she is.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Chainmail. 12. So.
Well, Benno got 25. However, your stealth, which was a 2 + 10, which is 12. As you see these two, you see two dwarves approaching. One is clearly not wearing much in the way of armor. She's been wearing much thinner clothes. And you can see that he has a tattoo of a snake with dice on the side of his cheek, which tends to denote, especially for him, you would kind of guess he'd be more of a magic user than anything else. And the person that's walking next to him is particularly butch, particularly like, basically the phrase brick shit house could not apply to anyone more deserving than this guy. He's stacked, dude. He's wearing, he's wearing like, he's wearing leather armor, and everything has been dulled down. There is no shiny reflections upon this guy, and he has ginormous knuckles. This becomes apparently evident as they step into this bush, and you can see them looking across, and then you shift your weight a little bit, and you lean against one of the trees, and you snap a branch.
Good job, Sultana.
Good job.
Proud of you.
And immediately the wizard and the bruiser look over straight at where you are, and the wizard quickly throws a hand up and he casts a small amount of light, and it kind of like floats above him, sort of between the two parties. And the wizard says, "Who is there?"
Sultana knows the game is up at this point, so she's gonna roll up her sleeve.
Okay.
All the way up.
Wow. I assume step out into the light? So it
And
can be
step
seen?
out into the light.
Okay.
So that these guys can see her.
Oh, are you the backup?
Not really. I'm here to make some negotiations.
Oh, well, we stepped on someone else's toes, but we got dibs on that one. Didn't think we were, why? Who are you working for? And he kind of like, he kind of gives a very small signal to his big bruisery friend, who takes 2 very clunking sounding steps and stands in front of the other. It doesn't appear to be saying much. In the light, you can see that this particular big bruisery guy, he's clearly had his nose broken on more than a dozen occasions. His ears have clearly, gone through the works, like cauliflower ears, and Yeah, he's covered in scars, and you can evidently see like these knuckles are ginormous.
Yeah, she knows that he's trying to be intimidating, and she just gives him a look like, "You don't intimidate me, bro." She kind of flexes her muscles a little bit.
Take an intimidation check for me. You become aware that Benno is actually moving away from you and around and sort of like behind them on the other side.
Good thing I put a lot into that. 13, not so much.
Not so much, but sorry, could you explain for the audience at home what it is that you are actually revealing on your arm?
She is revealing a tattoo of a snake with with dice for eyes.
Excellent.
Okay. The tattoo that marks her as a member of the Double Ones.
There we go. Fantastic. So yes, mixed with that mark, your intimidation does hold some weight. Yours is embellished in such a way that denotes you as being who you were when you were in the Double Ones. So you see, the wizard kind of like gives you a bit of a nod. He's like, so you said you're here for negotiations. Negotiate.
This family is my territory now. So I'll tell you what I'll do. Instead of getting into an inter-gang fight or any shit like that, because I don't hold to that shit. And you like, she has like a pretty much authority in her voice. She knows how these people talk.
Yeah.
I don't hold to that shit. You know we don't hold to that shit. So here's what I'll do. I got you 100 gold.
You what? Their debt is far bigger than that.
Yeah, how much they owe you?
They've gotten well, by the time they stack up arrears and personal visits, call out fee, that always whacks a bit on top. We're looking at the north side of 2 and a bit grand.
Tell you what. That's a lot of money. But I'm local around here. I'll tell you what. That's a lot of money. I get that. But I'm taking over this route. God, what's the fucking word that I'm looking for?
Place, territory.
I'm taking over this shit. So here's what I'll do for you, so that you don't go away empty-handed. And just so you know, because we're friends, we're family. You know how it is. So I give you something else. I'll give you 188 gold instead, and then I'll take over. You guys don't have to do no more work on these people. I'll do it all. Then if I can't get them to pay up, or if say I have to kill them all, you know how it is. You don't get no grief for it.
Take a persuasion check.
Ugh.
Sorry.
Oh, I'm so afraid this is not gonna go well. God damn it. Okay. 18! Oh my god, I was so scared.
Okay. For Bruiser Dude, who admittedly doesn't have a lot of insight, he rolled a giant no. You won him over. For sure. You can tell that.
Thank you, God. Thank you, Tyr. What's the second guy?
The other guy, you're not too sure if he believes you, like 100%.
Uh-huh.
But he turns to you and he says, with a bit of confusion on his face, like he's not particularly good at hiding that, he says, all right, well, who have we got the pleasure of handing this over to?
Shit. She takes a moment and she says, Zuzu.
All right. Not a name I've heard of before, but fair enough.
You know what? That's fine. You ain't heard of me. I'm making my way up there.
All right, you understand I got to go back and check, right? Nothing personal.
Yeah, of course. And if I don't turn out all right, you're free to kill me. It's fine.
Oh, yeah. I'm pretty sure we'll come back and do that. Well, nice to meet you, Zuzu.
Yeah, of course.
And hopefully we don't have to meet you again. And he puts a hand on the big dude's shoulder and they turn and walk away.
I didn't even give them the money yet.
Mm-hmm.
They're just leaving without the money?
They are just leaving without the money.
Okay. Sweet. And she kind of nods, but like the minute they're like well enough out of way, like her knees buckle a bit.
As soon as like they're out of way and your knees buckle, you feel a hand put on your shoulder. And Benno just sort of like looks down at you and he's like, "That was well played."
Whew. Thanks. We gotta go back. We gotta give this money to those people that I'm not gonna check out with that shit unless they really hired someone named Zuzu. And
yeah,
these people gotta get out of this town and go somewhere else and take a fake name.
Yeah,
make a new carpentry business. This ain't gonna fly for long.
I agree. I mean, there's only so much we can do, and if they come back for a fight, we can kill them, but there will be more, won't there? I mean, you know them better than I.
There will be. Yeah, so all I'm saying is they ain't gonna come back for a while because they got to go all the way back to wherever the fuck I'm from.
You are from the Dark Hammer stronghold.
They got to go back to the Dark Hammer stronghold, and they gotta talk to whoever's in charge of the double ones now.
True. That should buy them enough time. Take a perception check.
5.
As you two are chatting and sort of like talking about how long you think it would take and like go through logistics of how to help these people relocate. Benno just holds up his hand and you see him like look down and tip one of his ears up. And he says, "I'm hearing fire."
Oh shit.
Oh shit. And he sprints back towards the house. He's unslinging his bow as he goes.
Yeah, Zaltanna's got her, is running as fast as her tiny little dwarf legs can take her, and she's got her great sword out.
Just as you start to run, Benno's already basically streaked miles ahead of you with his somewhat more acute, longer his acute senses and his longer legs. You see him sprinting off towards the house. As you begin to turn and run, you hear Adette's voice in your ear. And she says, "They've come, please. They've come, help us." And she's using sending. You can send 25 words back. You're probably about a 5-minute run. You're probably slightly longer than a 5-minute run from the house. Like going at full dash mode.
Oh no.
The funny thing for the viewers at home, Casey is counting on her hand how many words she's sending back. I'll say for the sake of brevity the fact that Odette is quite a strong cleric. She's probably a very, very powerful cleric. You know that she's been training since she was, 1 or 2 to a degree. And being that you two have such a strong bond, I'm going to say you can have 50 words. You don't have to count them out.
The thing is, like, I was worried I wouldn't have enough words, but like for what I'm going to say, I feel like I'm really under, but okay. It's Benno sprinted ahead. I'm on my way. Stay safe. I love you.
Okay. Awesome. As you've been running for about a minute and a half, maybe, you can see the glow coming ahead of where you know the building to be. And as you kind of like, spend a couple of more minutes running there, increasing your pace, knowing that, there is a lot of danger incoming, you can see off to one side, you can sense off to one side, you can sense that Odette is off to one side with the building, and you can tell, because you have such a strong bond with her, that she is panicked, she is worried, she is very, very concerned. And you can just feel that in your heart, like a second heartbeat. You can feel that off to one side, and you can see just ahead of you, you can see Benno is firing repeatedly with his bow. You can also see with him engaged in battle just in front of him, you can see the very small frame of Tusk, who seems to be, and excuse the frame, a small flipping ninja who is just using everything around him. He's using the walls, he's using other people to bounce, jump, hit, and smash. And you can see that he, Elise, and and Benno are fighting this much larger guy. But off to your right-hand side, you can sense Odette. You can sense the terror and the worry. You can't see anyone else. You can't even see her. But you become distinctly aware that there is magical goings-on off to the same place where she is. But you know that she can probably handle herself if need be. What do you want to do?
I'm gonna... I know that I should go fight the guy, but I'm gonna go check on my wife because she seems really panicked, and I just want to make sure she's okay. And if she needs healing, I'm gonna give her a really quick heal and then go fight.
Okay. As you rush off around the side of this building to where you can sense Odette is, as you rush around there, as you go around, you can see that the fire is lighting the scene in front of you, and the flames are flickering. The light is flickering around you. You can see that just in front of you, there are the two children who are being huddled behind Odette's frame. You can see that Kythin, the father, is standing in front, wielding his carpentry tools as best as he can as a weapon. And you can see that the magic user, the guy that you spoke to before, has thrown his hands forward, and as you see that, you see this bolt of fire shoot from each hand, and they take Agnes square in the chest, and you see her fall to the ground. What do you want to do? And you can feel Odette's tension just almost come out in a scream. It just comes out in a scream. What do you want to do?
Oh yeah. Zaltanna's yelling, "You motherfucker!" at the guy. She goes, "You motherfucker! We had a deal!" And then she fucking launches at him with her greatsword.
Okay, take an attack. Oh damn, son!
I got 25 to hit.
And what was that? 25?
That to hit?
Yep. Because it's in green. What does that mean?
I don't know.
It means you just scored a critical hit on him.
Oh, I did. I crit. Holy shit.
You not only did you crit, but you also scored the maximum damage that you could. Less 3 points. You scored the maximum. The additional die hit a 6. That's fucking ridiculous. Do you want to smite the guy? I think you can do that at level 1, maybe.
I don't think I have smite. I don't think I have it yet.
Oh, that might be a level 2 thing. Hang on, let me have a look. The advantage of doing this recorded is that he can cut out all this thing where I check shit in the book. I will offer you the following. I will allow you to do a smite, but you have to give up that inspiration die I gave you earlier.
Oh, I don't... I feel like I'm going to need the inspiration while I'm in prison, though.
Of course. This is why I'm offering you a bargain now. Ensure his death by calling down the power of Tyr after having struck down the mother of her children, or use it in prison. You want to smite now?
I'm gonna fucking smite him. I don't have that spell set up though. That's the unfortunate thing.
So far as I remember rightly, actually, for the sake of brevity, fuck this shit. For the sake of brevity, I'm going to say that your smite is a d6, because I think it is supposed to be a d6 every time you give up spell slots, but you have just crit this guy, and you are quite angry. So I'm going to allow the power of your god if you want to smite as well. Okay, that's
all
an
right.
extra 4
I rolled a
damage.
d6 and it's a 4.
So in total, you just scored 26 damage. So you basically just run across, calling this guy a motherfucker, and you smash down your greatsword square onto the top of his head. And as you do this, you feel your arm you feel from your chest, like you felt that second heartbeat of Odette just now. You feel another presence emanate from your holy symbol around your neck. And you feel this light pulsate down your arm. Just at that moment, just as it reaches your fingertips, you have hit this guy in the head. And you see this holy light emanate from your weapon as you basically cleave this guy in twain with the power of your god all behind you. And you basically smash it down into his chest. And the guy hits the deck and he bleeds out in front of you.
Good.
What are you doing? Fuck that guy. Mainly fuck that guy. What are you doing?
I'm gonna check on my wife and see how she's doing. Just, make sure if she needs any healing.
Odette has a couple of cuts on the side of her face and a little bit down the side of her neck, as you can see, and you see a small burn on one of her shoulders. But you can see her protectively, basically holding the children back. And that's basically what you see of Adet if you're going back to check on her.
Yeah. All right, I'm just gonna heal her straight up. Heal her for 5 hit points.
Okay. I'm
giving her all of it because I love her and I just want her to be okay.
Oh, that's so sweet. You put your hand. I assume you put your hand out to her. You don't have to touch her for the spell, so you have to literally lay on hands. You put your hand out to your wife, and she reaches one of her hands out, and you feel that warm connection in your hands as you grasp one another, and you see the wounds close up on her with a slight glow to them. And when that glow dies down, you can see that she has been completely healed. But you notice that she's staring intently at Agnes laying on the ground. You become aware that off to one side, you hear like yells and hitting and fighting, and you hear Elise's like very high pitched like ah! As you hear this like bash as this guy hits the deck. This kind of big weight literally just falls to the ground. This is what you are experiencing right now. What are you doing? Odette is currently staring transfixed at the dead woman on the floor.
I'm going to run around to the other side to check, because I hear the other guy hitting the ground, but I just want to make sure everything's okay, because also Elise screamed. So,
you're familiar with how Elise fights in battle, and quite often she will do these very cool dance moves, and you literally see every move she does is magic, which is very true in her sense. But you know that when she
does.
Yeah, but you know that when she lets rip with her voice, that very, very powerful magical effects happen, and you basically, as you sort of like hear this, you look around the corner and you see the telltale signs of like essentially like a thunderclap to the face, and you see this guy laying on the ground, unconscious or dead, you're not really sure, but he's on the ground and he's not moving. You see that he is peppered with broken arrow shafts. You can see lots of bruises forming upon him, and you see Tuck sort of like getting himself to his feet after having hit the deck also, and Elise standing over them. They're kind of reflected light bouncing off of her blue and pink attire.
I'm gonna stick my sword in the guy just to make sure he's dead.
Yes, you absolutely do that. He doesn't resist in any way, shape, or form, and you hear kind of, and then you hear his last breath.
I'm gonna take my sword out and wipe it on, wipe it off with like the bottom of like my tunic, and just like go. Oh man, I want to say something clever, but I can't. She'll just be like, "Oh wait, no, that's why you don't go back on a deal, motherfucker."
Okay.
I want to snap, but I don't want to make it loud, and I don't want to hurt our audience's ears, so I'm not going to snap. But imagine that Casey, I'm snapping my fingers in a Z formation.
As you snap in a Z formation, that's amazing. As you snap in a Z formation, you can see with your, having come to this place where this particular fight was happening, you see reflected on the faces of your companions and of the trees around you, you see a bright white glow, which just pulses and then disappears again.
That's concerning. I'm gonna be like, did anyone else see the white light?
Benno points back towards where you came from, and you can see I assume you're going to turn around?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Otherwise it's going to be very awkward. You turn around and you see the two children standing back against the tree, and they're looking at each other very scared and very confused, and become aware that Adet is not standing there. You become very aware that you cannot see the father. You couldn't see the dead dwarf, but that you would assume is also gone. Every parental type figure from that area, anyone that you could see, have just gone. You can't see them at all.
She's gonna run around to the other side of the building because
Benno is literally inches behind you.
Is she there? Is she on the other side? She's calling her name. She's like, Odette. Like,
as you skid to a halt around there, and Benno is pretty much on your heels, you come around there and you see nothing. There's blood. There's the dead guy who's been almost bisected, and you see the two children looking down at the area and looking back at each other, and you see just confusion, and you see that they're very, very scared.
She's gonna go over to like the children and be like, "What happened?"
The pretty lady, and just as that happens, you see a pulse of white light reflected off their faces, and you hear 3 thumps as 3 things appear behind you.
I'm gonna turn around.
Standing before you is Adette, and she looks flushed. She looks scared, if anything. I mean, you know your wife of old. She looks really scared. You see the male elf, Kithin, and you can see that his eyes are whited over. And standing next to him is his wife, Agnes, who is standing and breathing.
What the hell?
Adette runs towards you, and she takes your hand and she bolts. She runs. She runs as far as she can, trying to drag you with her. Are you going with her?
Yeah. She's in shock. She's like, she has no idea what's happening. She's following.
You become distinctly aware as the Benno is running after you. He's managing to keep up with. Adette is trying to run for her life, but you are short of leg than she is. So she's having to make, you're struggling massively to keep up with her. And you become aware that the others, the Benno is just behind you. And when Adette finally runs out of steam, long after you have, she turns to look at you, and she's ashen-faced. She's very, very scared. And she looks up at you and she says, "Anna, am I evil?" And she looks up at you with just, her eyes are full of tears.
No, baby. You're the best person I know. You're not evil. What's wrong?
You saw that, didn't you? Agnes,
I have no idea.
Agnes was dead.
Yeah.
Anna, I brought her back.
How?
I don't know. But that's evil necromancer stuff. And I'm not that powerful. I must be evil.
Baby, if you brought her back, then it's a good power. Because you're so good. You're the best person I know. You make me a better person. You make Benno a better person. If it was possible to make Elise a better person, you do that too. And Tuck, Elise makes Tuck a better person, but you help. So, and she like cups Odette's face in her hands, and she's like, I want to say she's leaning down, except for like she's really fucking short, so she's probably just
leaning
bending
up
a little bit. Yeah. Well, you said that she's on her knees, right? So.
Yeah, she can be on her knees. That's fine.
She's probably just bending over a little bit, and she's like, "Baby, we'll figure out why that happened, but don't ever, and she's like got tears streaming down her face, think you're a bad person."
Anna, I love you.
I love you too, Odie.
And that's where I'm going to end today.
I'm crying!
Oh, God.
Our final story is about a dragonborn named Rhal'Jakk, voiced by Neil. On the border between the elves and dwarves of the dusk, and the humans and the halflings of the dawn, is the town of Falsum. It is in this hot, dusty town that we find a pair of dragonborns. One, a black-scaled male named Rhal'Jakk, and his mate Aemar, a golden-scaled female. These two outcasts of their race have made this small apartment their home. But what do the only two dragonborns do in town? I guess we're about to find out. Welcome to Rhal'Jakk's story.
So the town of Falsum is a very hot kind of place. It's more deserty than anything else. Today there is no breeze coming off the mountains, so it's ridiculously hot. The houses that we find ourselves near are constructed of wood. But even in this heat, the apartment door of this little apartment is closed. And we come across a black dragonborn. His name is Rorschach. What does he look like?
Rahl is tall. He's not very big and bulky in muscle like you imagine a dragonborn would be. Instead, he has kind of a slender, athletic build. From his mouth down, his lower jaw, and some into his neck is a red color. He doesn't have any of the facial whiskers or anything like you might see. He does have the 2 draconic horns, though, that protrude from the back of his head.
The neighborhood is kind of spacious. There are children running rampantly around. As the dragonborn Rhal'Jakk makes his way back towards his apartment, armed full of, let's say, food and groceries. There are children running around, and the nearest one just runs over to you and says, "Hello, Mr. Dragon."
Kid, what is it that you want?
Just to say hi, can you do the acid thing like Mrs. Dragon does the fire thing? And you can see all the other little kids are backed off down the road a little bit. They seem to be too scared to come and talk to you, and this one seems to be the bravest. It's like a small dwarf.
That is a dangerous thing to be playing with.
Oh, but Mr. Dragon. And then at that moment you see the door opens to your apartment, and there is a gold dragonborn standing there, and she seems to be happily smiling at you, very warm, very ready for you to come in, and more importantly, kind of hungry looking.
Yeah, he smiles and kind of just walks past the kids.
At that moment, you're the little dwarf that you're talking to sort of runs towards you, and Amy just holds you to one side and just breathes a gout of fire into the air, and the kids just run screaming. Not oh no, but they're kind of ah! Running away in mock terror of Mr. and Mrs. Dragon as Amy lets you into the apartment. Inside the apartment is essentially one very big living area. There is a very large table. One end has been cleared for just enough 3 people to sit down. The rest is covered in various letters, texts, and there's a smell of acrid burning as if paper has recently been set on fire. And there is the small bowl where you would expect those ashes to be. The rest of the apartment, there is a bed off to one side, which hasn't been particularly made recently, and there is a small chest of drawers, which has a pile of clothing on it. Not particularly Rhal'Jakk's, but a pile of clothing on it, and there seems to be a small fireplace off to one side, even despite this extreme heat.
Emma, are you terrorizing the neighborhood children again?
She kind of looks down and has a very small flush to the scales on her cheeks. No, they like the fire. There's no reason we should hide here. This is our home now.
And do their parents agree?
It's best we don't discuss them. I have other things for you to worry about right now. Do you remember me talking to you about the dusk and the dawn?
Yes, I thought we did not have to worry too much about that.
I think we do. Come see. And she indicates the table full of various types of letters. As you're looking over the table, you can see that some of them are particularly official looking. Some of them you have probably acquired for her, and others you definitely don't remember getting. And some of these seals are definitely higher up the political food chain than she would, for example, ever have access to. And there's also a very extensive map on the table with lots of different pins in. It seems to be a map of Discora itself. And there are, particular pins around, and there is scrawls and symbols that you don't seem to understand, but Amos seems to get almost instantly. And she pulls out one document, which is a series of what looks like Dwarven runes. Do you speak Dwarven?
Nope.
Okay. There is a series of squiggles on a piece of paper you don't quite understand.
Perfect.
And Amy puts this down in front of you, and she's like, this letter comes from Rowena of the Darkhunters.
And it came to you?
I acquired it. She gives you that kind of half smile, half look. What?
How are you getting these things?
I know some people who know people. They get letters from me. If you don't want to know, then you shouldn't ask.
What I want to know is what you think happens when you go to prison.
You see this, and she indicates the ball on the ground. It's like, I can do fire, yes? This is a thing I have done for many, many years, love. They will be burnt before anyone ever finds them. Don't worry about me.
You know that I worry.
I know, and I try not to make you worry, so it's probably better you don't ask. The same as I won't ask how you get bruises.
Can't you get into some fantasy novel or something? You don't have to be reading all these news and crazy things.
But this is our home, Rhal'Jakk. We have to protect it. We have to help them.
Okay, so what business is this of ours?
Okay, so Rowena appears to be arming herself an army, separate from that of the Dusk. The same way that Glengareth of the Elves has begun to create her own army. If from the various other information that has come to me, and she kind of like coughs and slides some paper like off the table into the bowl. It looked like they may be coming to war between the two. What with Falston being a part of Dusk and we being the only two Dragonborn here, we cannot survive if the Dawn decide that they wish to take advantage. The Falsum, our home, will no longer be here. They will not survive an onslaught.
So what are you expecting us to do about it? We have a bunch of letters.
True.
We don't exactly have any say in what goes on in the town. You know that they won't listen to us. It doesn't matter what we say.
There are other ways of getting information out. The letters that will be going to this Opella of the Dawn, the Empress, as they call her. The letters are going from the leaders of this town down to her. If we can get those letters, we can arrange that we become a town of the Dawn instead of the Dusk.
Okay. How soon?
Within the next hour.
Raw kind of puts a sleeve up to his face real quick.
I have friends who have told me that a courier is taking letters between the mayor of Falsum and Opella. They usually stop at your favorite place. They should be there for about an hour.
Okay. And what after? Do you have a full plan of like exit strategy, how we're going to accomplish this?
My plan is this courier has horses prepared at the monastery. Takes about an hour. She will be there about an hour waiting for them, and in that time we need to get the letters. I need to rewrite letter, and then we need to make sure she has it back. So she knows no difference between what she has taken. And I have asked Bogrim if he would help you, but not ask. He said yes. I have other things I have to go do.
Helping me? Well, what is he helping me with?
Provide you with backup.
Okay. Well, if this is important to you.
It is. The Dawn may be more strict in their rules and their punishments much harsher, but if we don't do this before war is declared, our home will be destroyed, and I don't want to move again. Where else do you see children running towards us, asking us to breathe fire and acid? It has been nowhere. I would not ask if this was not important. And then you hear a rapping at the door. See, he's right on time. See? Your friend, our friend. It's very good. He's here. And she rushes over and opens the door. And at the door before you stands a stocky dwarf with greying hair and a scar that runs from his eye down to his nose. And this man is Bogrim Flintfoot.
Bogrim, how are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, laddie. So what's this?
Good to hear.
I hear that you're about to go on an adventure.
You know how Emma likes to have me running around worrying about things.
Oh, don't worry, lad. You're in good hands. Come on. Say goodbye to your lady. See you later, Emma. And he walks out and gives you your time to say goodbye to your lady. Like, well, you will take care, yes?
I will see you back here, I guess.
if I am not here, don't worry. Just...
Okay.
I know. Just try not to worry about me. I will be back. And she gives you a quick kiss on the cheek and then just hightails it out of there without a thought in the world.
Bogarim, are you ready?
I don't really know what we're doing, but all right. Just told to keep an eye on you.
I wish I knew.
Well, doing things for the ones you love for no explanation. That's kind of wish I didn't have had that too. All right, where are we going then? And he claps his hands together and gives his knuckles a good crack.
We are just going over to the monastery. We have to retrieve a letter.
Well, sounds like a pretty interesting endeavour. So are we just turning up and taking the letter, or are we just trying to sneak the letter? As he's saying this, he's guiding you towards the monastery. The monastery is probably only about a 5-10 minute walk from where you live.
By the sounds of it, we need to do whatever it takes. Hopefully, sneaking.
Well, I'm not exactly pretty good at that sneaking stuff. And he sort of looks down at the sort of like, really rather rotund figure with all muscle and the clanking that his boots make upon the ground. He's definitely not a stealthy person. But I can provide a pretty good distraction if you like.
I am well aware that you will not be doing any sneaking. I don't want this to end before it begins.
No, that's probably a pretty good idea. All right, do you know what who this is? Who has this letter?
Just the usual carrier, I believe.
All right, the courier. All right, is that that little... Must be that little elven lass that works there, that goes in and out from there.
You would know better than I.
Aye, she's a nice enough lass. I'd rather you didn't rough her up.
But Bogarim, why do you think that would be the first thing?
I'm only joshing with you, kid. Don't worry. We got this. All right. So what's your plan?
Well, I don't have a plan.
All right. Okay, so we're just going to play this by ear, are we?
I am assuming that you could make distraction and I could take the letter.
All right, okay. All right, I've got a bit of an idea, but yeah, you be ready, because I don't know how long I can distract this little lass. But we'll give it a go. All right, okay then. And you guys find yourselves probably just as you finish that I don't have a plan conversation, just outside the monastery.
Excellent.
The monastery is a single-story building. It's quite long, quite low. And it is a wooden building, and pretty much as the rest of the aesthetics for this particular place that you're in, Falsum. And as you go inside, you can see there are dark reeds and rushes across the floor. There are tables and chairs like sprawled out everywhere. And you see the familiar people that are basically, the people who run the bar. You see on a short... behind the bar, there is clearly a platform because there is a gnome and there is a halfling behind the bar. The gnome being a female gnome who you know as Emily, and the halfling behind the bar known as Colin. At one end of the bar, there is a very old human guy named Jim, and these are the regular barflies that that kind of acquaint this bar. There is also in the corner there is a female elf. Short-cropped blonde hair, and she just wearing very light leather armor, and she's sort of like drinking alone, waiting for, you would assume, her horses to be prepared, as you see this kind of smaller, obviously a younger dwarf running in and out, checking with her about things and talking about horses and then going back again.
Does she have the letters with her?
It looks like she has a bag on the, not exactly on, she has a bag on the bench next to her. She has like one leg through the strap so that nobody can just take the entire bag from her. She doesn't have it on her arm because it means she couldn't drink as well. But, she has like, the strap through her leg, the actual entire bag sat on the chair, and she's drinking away at her cups.
Okay. I am going to have a seat at a table near her.
Okay.
I guess.
Bogrim goes up. Bogrim will go up to the bar and just order drinks because it looks stupid just sitting down without a drink.
It does.
You also appear to be the only patrons in the bar, so it's just the three of you, the two people behind the bar, and Jim sitting at the end. And Bogrim comes back with these. What would you be drinking? What was your normal drink?
Just anything. Just regular old ale, probably.
Okay. He comes back with like 2 regular old ales.
Okay.
Puts one down. Puts down one in front of you, like, right, okay.
Do you have an idea?
Well, I might have been lying when I said I had an idea about how I was going to pull this off. But, okay. All right. How about this for an idea? How about I go over there? No, I might be stuck there. Okay, how about I go over there and knock her drink over? Do you think you could get in that time? Or maybe I should go up to her and sing her a lovely poem. I have known her for a while.
How about both?
Knock the drink over and then give her a poem. Right, okay. I'm not really a bad. I haven't really noticed that. Okay, all right. And he takes a deep breath. He stands up to his magnificent height of being a dwarf compared to your like 2 foot taller than him. And
hold on.
How tall are you?
I'm very tall. Well over 6 feet tall.
Yeah, you'd be significantly taller than him. So yeah, he stands up. He drinks half his pint, and he begins to get this little swagger as if he's drunken slightly too much. And he begins to make his way over to the courier's table. And he lets out an almighty belch, falls into the table and pours the beer perfectly all over her and knocking her own ale over.
Okay.
What are you doing?
I look over to see how distracted she is. Maybe she has gotten up.
Yes.
And her bag is there, like kind of jumped up instinctively from the liquids.
Yeah, essentially she has, as soon as the ale and her beer gets knocked all over her, she stands up in absolute disgust, like, oh my gosh, you utter cretin, what the hell is going on here? Can't you hold your liquor? And then Bogrim turns like, I'm really, really sorry, lass. I've had a little bit too much, but you're really pretty. Your eyes are blue, and
I'm gonna
pretty as you.
I'm guessing that terrible thing is gonna distract her for a second.
Oh yeah, she's absolutely distracted. She's absolutely stunned by the fact this dwarf has minced up to her, spilt everything over her, and given her the shittest of poems. You have a couple of seconds in which to do this.
I'm going to do it. I'd sleight of hand the thing.
You may do a sleight of hand thing.
Okay.
Let's see a sleight of hand thing.
It's a 13.
Ooh.
Ooh, it's right. That's a iffy number.
That is an iffy number. As she's like, you utter cretin, what a disgrace. She looks over and sees Rhal'Jakk putting his hand into her bag. What on earth do you think you're doing?
I was making sure that none of the beer got on your... I don't know what you were drinking. Was it beer? Anyways, I was making sure that your letters weren't ruined.
Take I think it's deception check.
13 again.
Whoa! Why is it that I don't quite believe you? And at that point, Bogrim sort of like falls into the table, which knocks everything askew. Like the fluids just go absolutely everywhere and start like dripping down on your head and on the bag and onto the various benches. The cups like clatter to the ground, and you see that that the courier has been knocked back into her seat. You have another chance to grab it and run if you wish.
Yes, absolutely. Well, I'm not going to run. I'm going to grab it and tuck it away.
Okay.
And not act crazy suspicious, because that running would be...
I could only hope.
Yeah, running would be not the thing to do, probably.
You can take another sleight of hand check if you're trying to hide this, Jez. Go on. That was a resounding 11. Yes. However, she is somewhat like pinned against her chair by the kind of full weight of Bogrim, who is, as I said before, quite rotund and quite full of muscle. So you managed to sneak this like very quickly into your pocket, and beliling her small frame, she manages to push Bogrim off her a little bit, and she's like, just indignant and just rage sort of like written on her face, and she snatches the bag and she pulls it to her side, and she's clearly just covered in this alcohol, and she stands up and she stares at the two of you, like looking you down. It's like, well, I certainly won't be drinking here anymore. I shall have the guards upon you, actually. And she turns and leaves the bar.
Oh shit. Bogrim, we should probably hide now.
Right. Bugger. Well, you're unfortunately a little bit easier to feign, so...
Yes, that is why I said hide and not run.
we
should to not be seen at the moment.
The best thing for you would be to persuade her not to go to the guards. Because whatever it is that you're involved with and whatever your pretty lass is involved with, she can't be spouting it off to the guards. She'll probably be in trouble. Go after her, go on. It's me that caused the mess. Blame everything on me. Go.
Okay. He's gonna run after her, I guess.
Okay. As you run after her, you see that she's like, she's not that far of a distance down, and she seems to be like waving her hands in like clearly in some sort of like small spell, and you can see that her clothes have suddenly become clean and she's no longer soaked in alcohol. And then she straightens the bag on her shoulder.
Excuse me.
What?
I know that you don't exactly trust me. I'm pretty sure that I can take a guess as to why, but I wanted to apologize for my friend. He didn't mean any harm by it. He's just a little bit of a rough character. I hope that none of your letters got ruined.
Well, for the most part, it seems that they seem to be fine. Nothing in particular seems to have run or been ruined, and
that is good.
As you can see, I've managed to fix my clothing.
That is also good. I don't exactly know how I would have helped you fix that, but I'm glad that you could do it so that I didn't have to. Is there anything else that I could help you with? Maybe pay for the meal that we ruined?
Take a persuasion check.
18.
Yay. She looks slightly wary, but she doesn't incline her head in the positive. So, okay, fine. We shall attempt to mend fences. However, your friend, I'd much prefer if he was no longer in the picture or in the monastery, so to speak.
Well, I will let him know this. I apologize for the terrible, terrible day that we have forced upon you here.
Your apology has been accepted. Now, if I will go back in, I shall eat whatever meal that Emily or Colin may manage to make, and then I shall be on my way.
I will pay for you another meal and take my friends somewhere else. My apologies again.
No problem. And she walks with you back into the monastery. She sits down on a table at the opposite end of where Bogrim is, and Bogrim is properly acting the fool, like falling around all over the place and like hip-hopping and belching and stuff. He's really playing off this like being drunk.
Rawl is focusing on his breathing and staying calm.
Yep. Okay. All right. So you're essentially back in the bar, and Bogrim is acting the fool.
Bogrim, we need to leave. This is we have overstayed our welcome here. Jim, I would like to pay for a replacement meal for this lady here whose day we have ruined.
Do you mean Emily and Colin? Jim is the human that's sitting at the bar.
Oh, is Jim not working at the bar?
No, Jim does work the bar, but he doesn't work the bar. He's sitting on the patron side of the bar. He's just drinking.
Okay, yeah. Yeah.
You can ask Jim. Jim's happy to answer. It's not like he won't.
I'll ask whoever is serving at the moment for sure.
Let's say that Colin is serving. He's the halfling. Yeah, sure. I'll go get you a drink. I'll go get the courier there. I'll go get her a meal. No problem. Better tell your dwarf friend over there to take a hike, because the lady's never too happy when beer gets spilt in her bar. And he inclines his head heavily to where you see the short gnome just sort of beginning to fume in the corner as she's beginning to pour Jim yet another beer.
Yeah, I'm gonna put a couple gold on the counter and I'm gonna take Bogram out. We're leaving. We're done.
All right, the pair of you leave the bar. Are you heading back to your apartment? Are you going via anything else first?
Unless we didn't need to stop for anything, did we?
I don't think so.
Celebratory ice cream.
Wander if you.
No, we'll go back to the house for sure.
Dude, I now need to write an ice cream vendor in here somewhere. Okay, yeah, you make your way back to the apartment, and Fate Forger's like, well, you tell your lass I did what I promised to do. But if you need me, you know where I am. I'm Matt Shalia. Well, bugger, I was going to go back there, but I guess I better go somewhere else instead.
At least for a while, until people can forget.
You tell your lovely lady she owes me.
We do indeed. Thank you again.
You're most welcome, my friend. And he gives you like a hearty like slap on the back. It would be much higher up, but since you're that much taller, it's just like in the middle of your back, and it kind of like just like sting to it, as he has no finesse in his style. And Bogram meanders off, and Ama sort of like as you enter the apartment, Ama comes in almost just behind you and says,
"Oh,
so you have letter?"
Yes. I hope this is. I hope this is going to do what you think it's going to do.
Well, I should hope it will. I shall hope that this letter is the right one. If not...
I hope so too.
She just gives you like a bit of a chuckle. And she sits down and she reads through the letter. It probably takes her all about 5-10 minutes, and you see her pull out another scroll, and she begins to scratch away, and you've seen her do this multiple times. She kind of get that little furrow just between her eyebrows, just between her eyes, and she's, through whatever means that she has, she's almost perfectly duplicating the handwriting that is within this. But you can see that she's subtly changing some words here and there, and she rolls it back up, and she reaches over for the wax, like gives a good like a on it and melts the end, squidges it onto the paper, and from seemingly nowhere, she seems to pull out one of these little seals. How she's got the seal of the Mayor of Felsom, probably not aware, but she has it.
Rawl closes his eyes.
All right, she finishes the letter. She gives a good shake to let the wax cool a little, and she hands it back to you.
Okay. Is there a convenient way to get this back to the courier?
She has a thing. It's like, where did you leave this courier?
The monastery.
Oh, so she's not dead. Good. That will help.
No, Emma.
I know.
She
I'm
is
joking
not
with
dead.
you. I am joking with you, love. She puts her arm like around your shoulder and is like, you know I would never hurt you. You know I believe you. You know I love you.
Sunset, you know I can't take a joke.
But that doesn't mean I don't find it funny.
Yes, for whatever cruel means you have to torture me, so let's go back to the monastery. I guess she won't be. She will know it's us. I wasn't exactly sneaky, unfortunately.
What did you do?
Bogrim distracted her and I took the letter. And then we paid for the inconvenience and promised not to return.
I'll tell you what. If I don't ask, you don't ask. I shall make sure that this letter and the seal gets back to their proper places.
I would rather know, though it isn't.
I'd rather not tell you. I know I joke with you, but I don't actually wish to cause you worry.
But not knowing worries. You understand.
Of course. How about I tell you when I come back?
As long as you promise to come back.
And she puts the scroll down and she takes both your hands in hers like, when have I ever not come back?
It only takes once. You know this.
I know. And I worry about you too. But you always come back to me and I always come back to you. You are not alone.
All right. I will come looking if you do not return soon.
Of course you will. I will only be half an hour, I promise.
Okay.
She takes the scroll and as she goes to leave, she puts her hand on the door and she looks back at you and she says, I have present for you. It is on bed. Tell me if it fits okay. And then she leaves.
Okay. I go check that.
On the bed there is a dark grey hoodie, and you have been around magic enough in your time to know that this has some sort of magical enchantment upon it. And there is a small note written in Draconic that says, Happy birthday. And
Aww.
That's where we're going to leave it.
Aww. This is the sweetest.
Hello friends, I'm Valonda and I am the DM for the Lucky Die podcast. We'd like to thank everyone who's listened to our backstory episodes, and we really hope that you enjoyed listening to them as much as we enjoyed playing them. Also, probably should shout out that yes, we had some technical difficulties during this. Someone forgot to turn their fan off and some of us were kind of sick partway through, so we kind of do apologise for that. We are working on it and we are aiming to fix that for the future. We also want to say a huge thank you to the Spartan Network, who took us under their wing when we hadn't even actually recorded an episode yet, so thank you guys very much for putting up with us and taking us on board. And if you'd like to contact us, you can find us on Twitter. You can find myself at blood_BTP, Arch at Arch_D&D, Casey at Child of Ginevra, and Neil at Bardic Martin. You can find the podcast on Twitter as well, because apparently we have one of those, which is at TLDpod. And finally, just thank you again for listening to this, and we will see you next time.